The Velar confluence buzzed with activity like it did every day. Hundreds of ships, from dozens of different species, docked at the massive trading station. Merchants shouted prices in 20 different languages. Cargo loaders hummed as they moved containers. The air smelled of exotic spices, fuel, and recycled oxygen. Velthar clicked his mandibles in satisfaction as he watched his latest shipment being loaded. The insectoid merchant had made another profitable deal. His compound eyes tracked every movement, making sure his workers handled the delicate crystalline goods with care. 300 cycles of trade had taught him to trust nothing to chance. On the military observation deck, Quen stood perfectly still. The reptilian Ashtar officer kept his clawed hands behind his back, watching the traffic patterns. His duty was simple: watch for threats, report suspicious activity, maintain order. In his 40 years of service, he had rarely seen anything truly concerning. The galaxy was peaceful, boring even. Ilmara floated near the diplomatic wing, her translucent form shimmering with soft colors. As a Felorian empath, she could sense the emotions of everyone nearby. Right now, she felt contentment, greed, mild annoyance, hunger. Normal things. Safe things. She allowed herself to relax. Then every alarm in the station began screaming at once. Velthar's antennae shot straight up. His workers froze mid-step. On the observation deck, Quen's scaled hand moved to his sidearm by pure instinct. Ilmara's colors shifted to alarmed purple. The station's central AI announced in a calm voice that contradicted the sirens. Massive spatial distortion detected. All ships begin emergency scatter protocols. This is not a drill. Through the massive transparent dome of the station, they could all see it. Space itself was tearing open. Not the gentle shimmer of a standard FTL exit. This was violent. Aggressive. A wound in reality that pulsed with energy readings that made sensors scream in confusion. Ships fled in every direction like insects fleeing light. Velthar's natural cowardice kicked in, and he skittered toward his personal shuttle. Quen remained at his post, but his tail had gone rigid with tension. Ilmara broadcast soothing emotions, trying to calm the panic. But even she wanted to run. Then it emerged. The ship that slid out of the tier in space was enormous. Nearly 2 kilometers of dark metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Its shape was all wrong by galactic standards. No curves, no artistic flourishes, no bright colors declaring its home species. Just angles, hard edges, purpose. It looked like a knife built to the scale of a city. "What is that?" Velthar whispered, forgetting that no one could hear him from inside his shuttle. Quen's combat computer was already analyzing the vessel. His pupils narrowed to slits as data poured across his display. The ship's energy signature was off the charts. Its hull material did not match anything in the galactic database, and those openings along its flanks, dozens of them, all currently closed, his computer identified them with 89% certainty as weapon ports. So many weapon ports. On the bridge of the TCS Indomitable, Captain Han Taeyang sat in his command chair and studied the chaos their arrival had caused. The gray-haired officer showed no emotion on his weathered face. 47 years of life, 30 of them in space, had taught him patience. "Sensor sweep complete, Captain," reported Dr. Choi Mireille from the science station. The woman pushed her glasses up her nose, a nervous habit she had never broken. Detecting one major station, approximately 300 vessels of various sizes, no weapons locks. "They seem scared." "Understandable," Commander Yunhana said, from the first officer's station. She tucked a strand of black hair behind her ear, her dark eyes scanning multiple displays at once. "We probably look terrifying to them. Should we power down weapons?" asked Lieutenant Kang Daeho from Tactical. The young officer's hands hovered over his console, ready to act on any order. "Weapons are already powered down," Taeyang replied calmly. Ensign Park Jiwoo swallowed nervously. At 24, she was the youngest person on the bridge. Her fingers shook slightly as she activated the communication systems. "Channels open, sir." Taeyang touched the comm button on his chair. "This is the Terran colonial ship Indomitable. We come seeking dialogue and trade. Please direct us to appropriate authorities." He paused, then added, "We mean no harm. This is a peaceful mission." The message broadcast on every frequency the Indomitable could generate. Radio waves, laser.com, quantum entanglement channels, even old-fashioned electromagnetic pulses. Humanity had learned long ago that you could never communicate too clearly. On the station, Ilmara was the first to recover from her shock. As the station's diplomatic coordinator, first contact situations were technically her responsibility, though in 300 years, the Felorians had never encountered a species quite so intimidating. She accessed the communication system with a thought, her empathic abilities interfacing directly with the technology. Unknown vessel. This is Velar Confluence Diplomatic Coordinator Ilmara. We receive your message. Please maintain current position while we contact the Galactic Council. Do you require anything? Fuel? Medical assistance? When seen line, we have long sign. To Radipard. When U7 line, fuel sign. To crime. On the Indomitable's bridge, Ensign Park relayed the message. Taeyang smiled slightly. Polite. That's a good sign. Tell them we're self-sufficient. But we appreciate the offer. We'll wait for council contact. Velthar had stopped running. Curiosity, that dangerous trait that made merchants successful, pulled him back to watch. The massive ship just floated there, making no aggressive moves. Its running lights had activated, casting a soft blue glow that was almost peaceful. Maybe it really was friendly? But Quen trusted his instincts more than pretty lights. He was already composing his report to the Galactic Council. His clawed fingers moved quickly across the holographic keyboard. Unknown species claiming peaceful intent. Vessel designation. Terran colonial ship. Warning. Vessel energy signatures suggest extreme military capability. Hull composition unknown. Weapon systems extensive but currently inactive. Request immediate council guidance. Recommend extreme caution. Rublum. Rublum. He paused, then added one more line. Their ship is listed as colonial. If this is civilian, what do their military vessels look like? Crime. Quen sent the message with military priority coding. It would reach the council within minutes. He just hoped they would take his warning seriously. Back in his merchant stall, Velthar was already calculating. Humans. A new species meant new trade opportunities, new goods, new markets, new profits. Yes, their ship was frightening, but they had said they wanted trade. Velthar had built his fortune on being the first to establish relationships with new partners. His mandibles clicked in what passed for a smile among his people. Perhaps this day would be profitable after all. On the Indomitable, Commander Yoon approached Captain Taeyang's chair. Sir, we're receiving thousands of scans from the station and nearby vessels. They're trying to figure out what we are. Let them look, Taeyang said. We have nothing to hide. Dr. Choi, prepare the first contact package. Cultural information. Basic technology overview. Our history. Keep it friendly. Already prepared, Captain, Mireille replied. Though I edited out some of the more violent parts of our history. Didn't want to scare them more than we already have. Taeyang nodded approval. They had spent 200 years in isolation, rebuilding after humanity had nearly destroyed itself. Now they were ready to rejoin the greater universe. But the galaxy did not need to know everything about Earth's bloody past. Not yet. How long until council response? He asked. Ensign Park checked her displays. Based on their communication technology. Approximately 40 minutes. Sir. Good. That gives us time to rest and prepare. Stand down to yellow alert. Maintain shields and sensors but let's look as non-threatening as possible. As the bridge crew began their tasks, Taeyong stared out at the stars. Somewhere out there, humanity's colonies waited, millions of humans spread across a dozen worlds, all hoping this first contact would go well, all trusting him to represent them properly. He would not fail them. The galaxy had just met humanity. Soon, it would learn what that truly meant. The Felorian mediation station was beautiful in a way that took human breath away. Walls made of crystallized light shifted through calming colors. The air tasted like spring rain. Everything about the place was designed to promote peace and understanding. Captain Han Taeyang sat across from Counselor Bryn and tried not to feel like he was in a dream. The Felorian's translucent form rippled with curious yellow patterns. Next to Bryn sat 3 other council members, each from different species. All of them studied the humans with intense interest. Commander Yoon Hana sat to Taeyang's left, her posture perfect. On his right, Dr. Choi Mirai fidgeted with her tablet, eager to begin the cultural presentation. In the corner, Quen watched everything with unblinking reptilian eyes. "Welcome," Bryn said, their voice like wind chimes. "This is a historic moment. First contact with a new species is always cause for celebration." Taeyang smiled politely. "We're honored to be here. Humanity has waited a long time for this." "Your isolation was voluntary?" asked one of the other counselors, a being that looked like animated water. "Yes and no," Yoon replied carefully. "We had internal conflicts that required our full attention. We chose to focus inward until we resolved them." Bryn's colors shifted to understanding green. "Wise. Many species go through difficult adolescent phases. What matters is that you emerged ready for community. If only they knew," Taeyang thought. The resource wars had nearly ended humanity. Billions dead. Earth's surface poisoned. Desperate survivors fighting over scraps while the world burned. The galaxy did not need those details. "Dr. Choi has prepared a presentation about human culture and history," Taeyang said, changing the subject smoothly. Mirai stood, activating her holographic display. Images of Earth appeared, showing green forests and blue oceans. Humanity evolved on Earth, a planet in a relatively isolated system. We developed space travel approximately 400 years ago. She showed images of early rockets, space stations, the first Mars colony, all safe, sanitized history. She carefully skipped over the wars, the weapons development, the desperate struggle for survival that had driven humanity to the stars. "We established colonies on 12 worlds," Mirai continued. "Our population is approximately 8 billion. Across all systems, we value family, innovation, and cooperation." The last word tasted like ash in her mouth. Cooperation. Yes, humans had learned to cooperate, after they had nearly killed each other completely. Bryn watched the presentation with apparent pleasure. "Remarkable. Your technology seems quite advanced. That ship of yours, the Indomitable, its energy signature, is most unusual." "We prioritize efficiency," Yoon said smoothly. "Our ships are designed for long-duration missions with minimal support." "And your military structure," said the water-being counselor. "You have ranks, chains of command. This seems very hierarchical." Taeyong nodded. "It's practical for ship operations. Clear lines of authority prevent confusion during emergencies." Quen spoke for the first time, his voice a low hiss. The room went quiet. Mirai stopped her presentation. Taeyang met the Ashtar's gaze without flinching. "Combat is rare," Taeyang said carefully. "But space is dangerous. Accidents happen. Equipment fails. Sometimes difficult decisions must be made quickly. A clear command structure saves lives." "Interesting," Quen said. But his tone suggested he did not believe the casual explanation. Bryn rippled with calming colors. Of course. We understand. Now, about your vessel. You called it a colonial ship. Where are your dedicated warships? Taeyang exchanged the briefest glance with Yoon. The commander's expression did not change, but he saw the understanding in her eyes. This was the critical moment. Counselor, Yoon said carefully, the Indomitable is not a warship. It's a colonial protection vessel. We don't have dedicated warships anymore. You don't? Bryn seemed surprised but pleased. How progressive. So humanity has moved beyond military conflict? We've learned to integrate defense with daily life, Taeyang said, choosing his words like a man walking through a minefield. Every ship, every station, every colony is capable of protecting itself. We don't separate military and civilian infrastructure. The council members looked at each other. Their expressions, alien as they were, clearly showed relief. The humans were not militaristic. They were simply cautious civilians with good shields. Quen's tail twitched. He was not convinced. Mireille continued her presentation, showing human art, music, literature. She showed images of children playing in colony gardens, families eating meals together, scientists making discoveries, all true, all human, but all carefully selected to present humanity as peaceful. After 2 hours, the meeting concluded. Bryn stood, their form brightening with happy colors. This has been wonderful. The council will review your application for membership in the galactic community. I'm certain it will be approved. You seem like a kind, peaceful people. As the humans prepared to leave, Quen approached Taeyang. The Ashtar officer stood eye to eye with the human captain, studying him. You're soldiers, Quen said quietly, so only Taeyang could hear. The way your weapons officer's hand twitches when someone moves too fast. Taeyang's expression did not change. We're survivors, Officer Quen. There's a difference. Is there? Quen's pupils narrowed. I will be watching you, Captain. I would expect nothing less, Taeyang replied calmly. Back aboard the Indomitable. The senior officers gathered in the captain's ready room. Taeyang poured water for everyone. An old Earth custom, he maintained. They think we're weak, Lieutenant Kang said, his frustration evident. Did you see their faces? They've decided we're harmless. Good, Taeyang replied, sitting down. Let them think that. We're here for trade and knowledge, not to frighten anyone. But sir, Mireille protested. We weren't exactly dishonest. But we weren't fully honest either. They don't understand what our ships really are. Yoon sipped her water thoughtfully. They don't have a frame of reference. Their conflicts are ritualized, almost like games. They literally cannot imagine actual war. To them, our colonial ship seems powerful. They can't conceive of what we used to build. Taeyang nodded slowly. 200 years ago, during the resource wars, we built ships that would make the Indomitable look like a toy. Planet killers. Weapons that could sterilize entire worlds. We nearly used them on ourselves. The room fell silent. Everyone on the bridge had studied the history. The dark years. The desperation. The moment humanity stood on the edge of extinction and chose survival over annihilation. We swore we'd never build those weapons again, Taeyang continued. But we also swore we'd never be helpless again. Every human ship, every colony, every station, all of them can defend themselves and others. Not to conquer, to protect. Do you think they'll understand that? Ensign Park asked quietly. Eventually, Yoon said. But not today. Today, they see peaceful newcomers with good shields. That's fine. It makes diplomacy easier. Kang crossed his arms. And when someone tests us? Pirates? Raiders? This galaxy seems to have them. Based on the security briefings. Then they'll learn, Taeyang said simply. On the Felorian station, Quen was composing another report. His first warning had been acknowledged but largely dismissed. The council wanted to believe humanity was peaceful. Quen wanted to believe it too. But he had spent 40 years studying warfare. even though the galaxy had largely forgotten what real war looked like. He recognized the signs, the way human crew members moved in synchronized patterns without speaking, the efficiency of their ship's design, zero wasted space, the calm way Captain Taeyang had discussed emergencies. These were not civilians playing at defense. These were veterans pretending to be civilians. Quen wrote carefully. Second assessment of Terran capabilities. Recommend heightened observation. Species shows all indicators of advanced military culture, despite claims otherwise. Suggest monitoring their integration carefully. They are not hostile, but they are very, very dangerous. He sent the report knowing it would likely be ignored again. The council saw what it wanted to see. But Quen had learned to trust his instincts. Something about humanity unsettled him deeply, not because they seemed aggressive, but because they seemed so completely, terrifyingly competent at violence while claiming to avoid it. Across the galaxy, on Earth, Admiral Lee Sora stood in the Fleet Command Center, watching the first contact reports. The older woman's face was weathered by years of command. She had lived through the tail end of the resource wars. She remembered the burning cities. Her aide approached quietly. Admiral, the council seems receptive. Captain Taeyang handled it well. He did, Lee agreed. But they don't understand us yet. They will, eventually. When someone makes the mistake of threatening human civilians, they'll learn what we really are. I am Don. End quote. Should we warn them more directly? Lee shook her head. No. Let them learn naturally. We're not here to intimidate anyone. We're here to ensure that no human, anywhere, ever, feels helpless again. If the galaxy accepts that, wonderful. If not, she didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Everyone in Fleet Command understood. Humanity had nearly died once. It would never allow that possibility again. The galaxy thought it was meeting peaceful newcomers. It was actually meeting survivors who had looked at extinction and chosen to become unkillable. The convoy moved through deep space at a comfortable cruise speed. 6 human merchant vessels traveled in a loose formation, their cargo holds full of trade goods bound for the Orlan system, cultural items, technology samples, medical supplies, humanity's first real trade mission into galactic space. The TCS Indomitable kept watch from the center of the formation, its massive bulk a reassuring presence to the merchant captains. On the bridge of the merchant vessel Prosperity, Captain Nam Ji-young reviewed her manifest for the 3rd time. At 41, she had spent 20 years hauling cargo between human colonies. This mission felt different, historic. She was part of something bigger. Captain, her sensor officer called out. I'm reading multiple FTL signatures. Big ones. Lots of them. Ji-young's relaxed posture vanished. How many? 30 contacts. They're surrounding us. On the Indomitable, alarms chimed softly. Lieutenant Kang's hands moved across his tactical display, already calculating firing solutions purely by habit. 30 vessels just dropped out of FTL, he reported calmly. Formation suggests hostile intent. They're boxing us in. Captain Taeyang studied the tactical display. The approaching ships were smaller than the merchants but heavily armed by galactic standards. Pirates, almost certainly. He had read the briefings about galactic piracy. It was almost civilized, compared to what humanity remembered of such things. Ensign Park, open a channel to the merchants, Taeyang ordered. Tell them to maintain formation and stay calm. We'll handle this. Commander Yoon pulled up intelligence files on the pirate vessels. Talvek Marauders, based on the ship profiles. They usually operate in smaller groups. 30 ships is unusual. They probably think we're an easy target, Taeyang said. New species. Unknown capabilities. Valuable cargo. We look like perfect victims. The lead pirate vessel broadcast on all frequencies. The voice was harsh, translated into human standard language by the communication computer. Unknown vessels, this is Krev, Lord of the Talvek fleet. Your cargo belongs to us now. Surrender it peacefully, and you may leave with your lives. Resist, and we will take it anyway. On the Prosperity, Captain Nam's crew looked at her nervously. She touched her comm button, connecting to the Indomitable. Indomitable, this is Prosperity. What are our orders? Taeyang's response was calm. Stand by, Captain Nam. Do not surrender anything. Across the galaxy, thousands of beings were watching through broadcast relays. Pirate raids were common entertainment. Most victims negotiated, surrendered some cargo, and left. It was almost a ritual. No one expected anything different this time. Velthar, the merchant from the Confluence, had paid good money to access the live feed. He wanted to see how these mysterious humans handled their first real galactic test. His mandibles clicked, nervously. Surely they would negotiate. Everyone negotiated. Captain Nam broadcast her response to the pirates. Negative. Our cargo is property of the Terran Trade Consortium. We do not negotiate with thieves. Nam, the watching galaxy gasped. In 1,000 languages, beings expressed shock. No one refused the Talvek marauders. That was not how this worked. Krev's response crackled with anger. You dare? I will give you one chance to reconsider. Humans, surrender, or I will fire on your vessels. Taeyang leaned back in his command chair. Ensign Park, broadcast to all vessels, including our merchant friends. They should hear this. When Park nodded confirmation, Taeyang spoke clearly. Attention, hostile vessels. You have committed an act of piracy against Terran civilians. Under Terran law, this is punishable by death. However, we are guests in this galaxy. I will give you one opportunity to withdraw. If you fire a single shot at any human vessel, we will respond with overwhelming force. Choose wisely. End quote. Silence filled the void. Then Krev laughed. The sound was ugly, full of contempt. Overwhelming force? You have one warship against 30. Your mathematics is poor, human. All vessels. Target the merchant ships. Fire warning shots. 30 torpedoes launched simultaneously, each aimed to pass close to a merchant vessel, a standard intimidation tactic. The merchants would panic, and surrender would follow. Lieutenant Kang watched the torpedoes approach on his display. His fingers moved with practiced precision. Point defense active, he said quietly. The watching galaxy saw something impossible. 30 precise laser beams lanced out from the Indomitable. Not broad energy weapons meant to disable. Needle-thin beams of concentrated energy that existed purely to destroy. All 30 torpedoes disintegrated in perfect synchronization. The laser beams were so precise, so impossibly accurate, that several alien weapons analysts, watching the feed, refused to believe it was real. Taeyang's voice cut through the shocked silence. That was your warning. You fired at civilians. There will be no second warning. Withdraw now. Krev stared at his displays in disbelief. Then rage overtook reason. All ships, attack pattern Delta, destroy them. The pirate fleet surged forward, weapons charging. Across the galaxy, beings watched in anticipation. Surely the humans would surrender now. 30 ships could overwhelm any defense. Battle stations, Taeyang said calmly. Rules of engagement are free. Protect the merchants. Disable the flagship. Destroy everything else. What happened next would be studied in military academies for generations. The Indomitable did not fire missiles. It fired kinetic rounds. Tungsten rods accelerated to 3% of light speed by electromagnetic rails. Each round carried more kinetic energy than most galactic ship weapons could generate in a full salvo. The first 6 pirate ships simply ceased to exist. They did not explode dramatically. The kinetic rounds passed through them so fast that the ships came apart like paper in a hurricane. Kang's voice remained steady. 6 confirmed kills. Adjusting targeting. The Indomitable moved. Despite its size, it spun and accelerated with grace that should have been impossible. Its maneuvering thrusters were overpowered by galactic standards, designed for combat dodging rather than gentle docking. Commander Yoon coordinated point defense. Every shot the pirates fired at the merchant vessels died in space, intercepted by laser fire so accurate it seemed computer-generated, which it partly was. But the final targeting decisions came from human officers who trained for this moment their entire careers. The pirates tried to swarm the Indomitable, a tactic that worked against galactic defense ships. Close range overwhelmed most vessels' targeting systems. It didn't work on humanity's ship. Kang activated close-in weapon systems. Rapid-fire railguns designed to destroy incoming missiles worked just as well on small ships. 3 more pirates dissolved into expanding clouds of debris. Ensign Bay, working at the engineering station, made constant micro-adjustments to shield harmonics. Every hit the Indomitable took, and there were several, splashed harmlessly across adaptive shielding that shifted frequencies faster than galactic weapons could adjust. The battle, if it could be called that, lasted 4 minutes. 21 pirate ships were completely destroyed. 9 fled at maximum speed, jumping to FTL the moment they cleared the minimum safe distance. Only Krev's flagship remained, crippled but intact. Kang had precisely destroyed its engines and weapons while leaving life support and communications functional. Taeyang opened a channel to the crippled vessel. Krev, you attacked Terran civilians. By our law, that is punishable by death. But we are guests in this galaxy. I'm transmitting your location to the Galactic Council authorities. I suggest you pray they are more merciful than we are. I'm transmitting your location. I suggest you pray they are more merciful than we are. He closed the channel and turned to Yoon. Damage report? Shields at 87%. Hull integrity 100%. No casualties. The merchants are all unharmed. Good. Send our logs to the council. Unedited. Across the galaxy, silence reigned. In the Galactic Council chambers, counselors stared at displays showing the battle's aftermath. The engagement had been broadcast to millions. They had all seen it. Counselor Brin's colors flickered between several emotions too fast to identify. That was a colonial vessel? Quen stood in the back of the chamber, his expression unreadable. He had tried to warn them. They had not listened. Finally, he spoke. Yes, Counselor. That was a colonial vessel. A civilian ship designed to protect merchant convoys. He paused, letting that sink in. Now imagine what their actual military vessels could do. The chamber erupted in chaos. Some counselors demanded humanity be quarantined. Others insisted on immediate peaceful integration. Fear and respect, mixed in equal measure. On the Indomitable, Captain Nam's voice came through the comm. Indomitable, this is prosperity. Thank you. That was incredible. Taeyang smiled slightly. Just doing our job, Captain Nam. That's what protection vessels are for. Are you and your people all right? Ender? Ender Nam. Ender Carter, shaken but unharmed. Permission to buy your tactical officer a drink when we reach Orlan? Kang's lips twitched in what might have been a smile. Permission granted, Taeyang replied. Dr. Murray approached the captain's chair quietly. Sir, we just showed the galaxy what we're capable of. They're going to be terrified. Yes, Taeyang agreed. But they're also going to know that human civilians are protected. Pirates, raiders, anyone who preys on the weak, they'll think twice before targeting anyone traveling with a Terran flag. Yoon checked her diplomatic briefings. The council is convening an emergency session. They'll want answers. Then we'll give them answers, Taeyang said. Honest ones. We didn't start that fight. We gave them every chance to leave. They chose violence. We chose survival. He stood, straightening his uniform. The galaxy wanted to see what humanity was. Now they know. We're not conquerors. We're not victims. We're survivors who protect our own. Lieutenant Kang secured his weapons systems, making sure everything was safely powered down. Taeyang looked out at the stars. At the debris field that had been a pirate fleet. At the merchant vessels, flying safe and intact. They'll accept us, he said quietly. Because they just learned something important. It's better to have humans as friends than enemies. And any species that protects traders protects trade. The merchants will love us. The council will be wary of us. But they'll accept us. Yoon added softly. And the pirates will fear us. Good. Taeyang replied. Fear keeps people safe. Respect keeps them friendly. We've just earned both. The convoy resumed course for Orlan. Behind them, Galactic Council ships arrived to secure the crippled flagship and catalog the debris. Ahead of them, a galaxy tried to understand what had just happened. Humanity had arrived. The galaxy was beginning to realize what that truly meant. The Grand Assembly Chamber of the Galactic Council could hold 10,000 beings. Today, it was filled to capacity. Representatives from 300 species had gathered for an emergency session. The topic, humanity. High Counselor Thren stood at the center podium, his ancient crystalline form pulsing with light. At 900 cycles old, he had led the council through countless debates. None had felt quite like this. Order. Thren called out. His voice amplified through the chamber. We will have order. The chaos slowly settled. Thren activated the main display, showing footage from the pirate engagement. Every being in the chamber had already seen it dozens of times. They watched again anyway. 4 minutes of violence so efficient it looked choreographed. Ships dying so fast their crews probably never knew what killed them. Defensive fire so precise it seemed impossible. A single vessel against 30, and it was not even close to a fair fight. This is what we face, Thren said quietly. A species claiming peace, while demonstrating capabilities we cannot match. The question before this council is simple. What do we do about humanity? Counselor Bryn stood, their Felorian form flickering with uncertain colors. They were defending themselves. The pirates attacked first. Surely we cannot punish humans for self-defense? Self-defense? A Vryn representative clicked their mandibles sharply. That was not defense. That was annihilation. They destroyed 21 ships in 4 minutes. The pirates were given multiple warnings. Another counselor pointed out. The humans acted with restraint initially. Only when attacked did they respond. Quen stepped forward, requesting permission to speak. Thren nodded, and the Ashtar officer approached a side podium. Counselors, Quen began, his voice measured. I have studied warfare for 40 years. I warned this council twice about humanity's true nature. You did not listen. Now you have seen proof. What do you mean, their true nature? Demanded a counselor. Are you suggesting they are inherently violent? No, Quen said firmly. I am saying they are inherently competent. There is a difference. Every move that ship made, every tactic employed, showed training and experience we lack. This is not a species that plays at war. This is a species that survived war. Murmurs filled the chamber. Thren raised a hand for silence. We have requested a representative from Earth to address us. They agreed to send Dr. Lim Dae-hyun, their xenoanthropologist. A door opened, and Dr. Lim walked into the chamber. At 44, he moved with calm confidence, despite being surrounded by thousands of alien beings. He had spent his entire career studying how different cultures understood each other. Today, he would put that knowledge to the ultimate test. Thren gestured to the podium. Dr. Lim, the council has questions. We hope you will answer honestly. I intend to, High Counselor, Lim replied, his voice steady. Then explain, Bryn said, colors shifting to confused purple. We welcomed you as peaceful people. We saw your art, your culture, your families. Then we saw that. They pointed at the frozen image of the battle. How can both be true? Lim took a breath. This was the moment. Truth or comfortable? Lies. He chose truth. Because you asked the wrong question, he said. You asked if we were peaceful. We are. You should have asked if we were harmless. We are not. He activated his own display, showing images of Earth. But not the pretty ones from the first presentation. These showed ruined cities, poisoned wastelands, mass graves. 300 years ago, humanity nearly destroyed itself. We call it the Resource Wars. 7 billion people died. Our planet was poisoned. Survivors fought over scraps while the world burned around them. The chamber was utterly silent. Lim continued, his voice soft but clear. We did this to ourselves. Not aliens. Not natural disasters. We nearly committed suicide as a species because we could not cooperate, could not share, could not see beyond our own greed and fear. He showed images of the aftermath. Desperate construction of space elevators. Colony ships, fleeing a dying world. Massive engineering projects to heal Earth's biosphere. We survived. Barely. And we swore we would never be that helpless again. Never would we be unable to protect ourselves and our loved ones. A counselor stood. But you said the Indomitable was not a warship. You said you had no dedicated military vessels. And that is true, Lim replied. We don't have warships because every human vessel is a warship. Our freighters carry weapons. Our colony ships are mobile fortresses. Our scout ships could cripple most galactic cruisers. He let that sink in before continuing. You separate military and civilian life. We cannot. In space, everyone must be able to fight, or everyone dies. This is not philosophy. This is survival. We learned it when millions of colonists died because their ships could not protect them. So you are militaristic, another counselor accused. No, Lim said firmly. We are prepared. There is a difference. We do not seek conflict. We train for it. We do not want war. We are ready for it. We do not threaten anyone, but we will not be threatened. Bryn's colors shifted to something like understanding. You live in fear. We live in reality, Lim corrected gently. We hope for peace. We prepare for war. And because we prepare, we survive. A counselor from the water-being species spoke up. Show us your true warships. The ones you hide. Lim shook his head. We don't hide them. We don't have them. We stopped building dedicated warships 200 years ago when we unified under a single government. We destroyed our planet killers, our superweapons. Everything designed purely for destruction. Why? Quen asked, genuinely curious. Because we learned that weapons designed only to kill eventually kill everyone, including those who build them. But we kept the ability to defend. Every ship, every station, every colony, all capable of protecting themselves and others. He pulled up schematics of human vessels from different eras. The progression was clear. Ancient warships, terrifying in their singular purpose. Then, the transition to multi-role vessels. Finally, modern ships that were primarily civilian, but heavily defended. The Indomitable is a colonial protection vessel. It carries families. It has schools, gardens, medical facilities. It also has weapons, because space is dangerous, and humans must be able to protect themselves. Thren studied the schematics carefully. What would a Terran warship look like if you built one today? Lim was quiet for a moment. We hope we never need to answer that question. But if we did, it would make the Indomitable look like a pleasure yacht. Because we know how to build weapons of war. We just choose not to. The implications hung heavy in the chamber. So you're saying, Thren said slowly, that what we saw was humanity Showing restraint? Yes. Captain Taeyang could have destroyed all 30 pirate ships in the first salvo. He chose to disable the flagship instead. He gave warnings. He followed your laws, not ours. Our laws would have executed pirates immediately for threatening civilians. Across the chamber, beings shifted uncomfortably. They had thought the battle was brutal. Apparently, by human standards, it was merciful. In another part of the galaxy, War Chief Kor of the Harkesh clans watched the council proceedings with great interest. The Harkesh were one of the more militant species, though by galactic standards that meant they maintained a larger fleet than necessary. Kor saw opportunity. The humans were few. Their technology was impressive, yes, but numbers mattered. If the Harkesh struck quickly, before humans established themselves fully, they could eliminate this potential threat. And if they succeeded where pirates failed, their prestige would soar. He began planning his attack. Back in the council chamber, the debate raged. Some councilors wanted to welcome humanity fully. Others demanded restrictions. A few suggested quarantine. Finally, Thren called for order again. We will vote on proposed restrictions. Humans will be granted provisional membership, but they must agree to limit their vessel armaments to galactic standards, submit technology for inspection, and restrict their presence to approved trade routes. The vote passed narrowly. Lim listened to the demands and felt his stomach sink. These restrictions were impossible. Humanity would never disarm. Never allow their technology to be controlled by others. Never accept limitations on their movement. I will relay these terms to my government, he said carefully, but I cannot guarantee acceptance. Thren's crystalline form dimmed slightly. We are trying to integrate you peacefully, Dr. Lim. These restrictions are for everyone's safety. Whose safety? Lim asked quietly. Because from where I stand, you're asking humanity to become helpless. And we've tried that before. It nearly killed us. The transmission from Admiral Lee arrived within hours. Lim read it aloud to the council. We respect the council's authority in your space. However, we will not disarm. We will not limit our ability to protect our people. We will not submit our defensive technology for external control. If these terms are unacceptable, humanity will withdraw to our own systems. But understand this clearly. We will defend ourselves if threatened. We seek peace. We are prepared for war. Choose which you prefer to have with us. The chamber erupted in argument. Some saw this as a threat. Others saw it as reasonable boundaries. Quen stood silently, thinking. Finally, he spoke. Counselors, we face a choice. We can accept humanity as they are, different but not hostile, or we can try to force them to change, which will likely result in conflict we cannot win. The pirates learned this lesson fatally. I suggest we not repeat their mistake. Bryn's colors shifted to thoughtful silver. Perhaps we are asking the wrong questions. Instead of demanding they become like us, should we not ask how we can coexist with them being themselves? It was a revolutionary thought for a council that had spent 3,000 years creating conformity. Thren pondered long and carefully. This session is adjourned. We will reconvene tomorrow to discuss new terms. Dr. Lim, please tell your people that we are trying to find a peaceful solution. They know, Lim said, and they appreciate it. Humanity genuinely wants to be part of the galactic community. We just won't sacrifice our survival to do it. As the chamber emptied, Quen approached Lim. Your people frighten many here. I know, Lim said sadly. We don't mean to. Perhaps, Quen replied. The galaxy needs to be frightened sometimes. We have become comfortable. Soft. Maybe meeting a species like yours will remind us that the universe is not always gentle. He paused, then added, For what it's worth, I respect humanity. You survive. Lim smiled slightly. Thank you, Officer Quen. That means more than you know. War Chief Kor did not attend council sessions. Politics bored him. Action, strength, glory, these mattered. And right now, he saw opportunity shining like a star. The HFY war room buzzed with activity. 200 warships prepared for battle. Kor studied the tactical displays, showing human space. Only 3 human vessels were currently outside Earth's home system. 3 ships. His fleet could crush them easily. War Chief, his tactical officer said. Council intelligence suggests humans are more dangerous than they appear. Kor's laugh was harsh. Council intelligence is afraid of shadows. They've grown soft. Yes, the humans destroyed some pirates, but pirates are weak and cowardly. We are HFY. We are warriors. He activated the fleet-wide communication. All ships, prepare to jump. We strike the human vessels before they can call for reinforcements. Quick, brutal, decisive. Victory will be ours. No one in his command questioned the decision. The HFY had been warriors for 1,000 generations. They knew war. They did not know humans. On the TCS Indomitable, alarms woke Captain Taeyong from his first real sleep in 30 hours. He was in the command chair within seconds. Uniform hastily straightened. Report, he ordered. Lieutenant Kang's expression was grim. 200 vessels just dropped out of FTL at the edge of the system. Configuration matches HFY clan warships. They're broadcasting on all frequencies, demanding our surrender. Taeyong felt ice settle in his stomach. This was it. The moment he had hoped would never come. Real war, with a galactic power. Commander Yoon was already at her station, pulling up every file they had on the HFY. They're considered the most militaristic species in the Council. Warrior culture. They respect strength above all else. How long until they're in weapon range? Taeyong asked. 15 minutes at their current speed. Taeyong touched his comm. This is Captain Taeyong, to all human vessels in the system. Stalwart, prosperity, acknowledge. Captain O'Hiren's voice came through first. Stalwart here, Captain. We see them. 200 to 3. I've had better odds. Captain Nam's voice followed. Prosperity. Acknowledging. Sir, we're a merchant vessel. We can fight. But, I know, Taeyong said. Both of you, fall back to our position. We'll coordinate defense. Dr. Choi pulled up energy readings on the HFY fleet. Captain, their ships are primitive by our standards. But those numbers matter, Taeyong acknowledged. But so does training, technology, and experience. Ensign Park, send a message to Earth. Tell Fleet Command what's happening. Then broadcast to the HFY. When Park nodded, Taeyong spoke clearly. War Chief Kor. This is Captain Han Taeyong, of the Terran colonial ship Indomitable. You are in violation of galactic peace accords by bringing a military fleet into this system. Withdraw immediately. Withdraw immediately. Kor's response was full of contempt. You are outnumbered 70 to 1 human. Your choice is simple. Surrender or be destroyed. Taeyong exchanged glances with Yoon. She nodded slightly. They both knew what had to be done. War Chief. You are making a terrible mistake. We are authorized to use necessary force to protect Terran interests and personnel. This is your final warning. Kor's laughter filled the channel. 3 ships. You insult us with your resistance. All vessels, attack formation Delta. Show these humans the strength of the HFY. The fleet surged forward. Captain O's voice came through on the private channel. Taeyong, you have a plan, right? Please tell me you have a plan. Same plan as always, Taeyong replied calmly. We survive. Activate combat network. Full integration. Yoon, you coordinate fleet movement. Kang, you handle primary targeting. Oh, your ship takes the right flank. Nam, center with us but hold back. You're our reserve. Understood. Both captains acknowledged. What happened next? The galaxy would debate for centuries. The HFY expected the human ships to scatter or form a defensive cluster. Instead, They did something incomprehensible. They charged directly at the center of the Harkesh formation. Kor stared at his display in disbelief. They're insane. All ships, concentrate fire on the lead vessel. Energy beams and missile swarms converged on the Indomitable. For a moment, the human ship disappeared in a storm of weapons fire. Then, it emerged, shields glowing but intact. Lieutenant Kang's voice was steady. Shields at 72%. Beginning counterfire. The three human ships fought not as individuals but as a single organism. They shared targeting data instantaneously. When one ship's shields weakened, the others adjusted position to provide cover. They moved in patterns that seemed choreographed, each vessel knowing exactly where the others would be. The stalwart specialized in electronic warfare. Captain O's crew jammed Harkesh communications, spoofed their sensors, and created phantom targets that wasted enemy fire. Harkesh ships began shooting at ghosts, while real threats went unnoticed. The Prosperity, despite being a merchant vessel, revealed hidden weapon systems disguised as cargo pods. Captain Nam's crew fought with desperate courage, protecting the two military vessels' flanks, and the Indomitable became death itself. Kang's weapons control was surgical. Every shot calculated for maximum effect. Railgun slugs punched through Harkesh hulls like paper. Energy weapons disabled engines and weapons with frightening precision. The Indomitable did not just fight. It dismantled the enemy fleet piece by piece. The Harkesh discovered quickly that their numerical advantage meant nothing. Human point defense destroyed incoming fire with impossible accuracy. Human armor absorbed hits that should have crippled ships. Human weapons struck with power that overwhelmed Harkesh shields. But humans paid a price too. The stalwart took a direct hit to its port side. Atmosphere vented into space. Captain O's calm voice reported. Hull breach on deck 4. Sealing compartments. 23 casualties. We're still fighting. The Prosperity's shields failed completely. Only desperate maneuvering by Captain Nam kept the ship alive. We can't take much more, she transmitted. Her voice strained. Taeyang made the decision. Prosperity, fall back. You've done enough. Stalwart, how long can you hold? As long as necessary, sir. O replied without hesitation. Across the galaxy, millions watched the battle through military observation networks. The Galactic Council chamber had reconvened in emergency session. They watched 3 human ships battle 200 Harkesh vessels with growing horror and awe. They're going to lose, Counselor Bryn said quietly, colors flickering with distress. There are too many, Quen watched intently. Perhaps. But look at the Harkesh casualty count. The numbers were staggering. 70 Harkesh ships destroyed, 50 more disabled or retreating. The humans were outnumbered, outgunned, and they were still winning. On the Indomitable's bridge, exhaustion was setting in. They had been fighting for 20 minutes. The crew's training and conditioning kept them focused. But humans had limits. Shields at 40%. Ensign Bay reported from engineering. I'm rerouting power. But we can't maintain this much longer. Taeyang studied the tactical display. 90 Harkesh ships remained combat effective. The Stalwart was badly damaged, but still fighting. The Prosperity had withdrawn, as ordered. The Indomitable was holding, but barely. Kang, focus all fire on the flagship. We end this by cutting off the head. Understood, sir. The Indomitable's remaining weapons concentrated on Kor's command ship. The war chief watched in disbelief as his shields collapsed under the precise barrage. His engines died. His weapons went offline. He sat in his darkening command center and felt something he had never experienced before. Defeat. Taeyang opened a channel to the Harkesh flagship. War Chief Kor, your fleet is broken. You have lost. Order your remaining ships to withdraw, or we will destroy them all. For a long moment, Kor did not respond. His tactical officer whispered urgently, showing him the casualty reports. Half his fleet gone. The human ships, still fighting, despite their damage. Finally, Kor spoke, his voice hollow. I was wrong. You are not prey. You are predators pretending to be herbivores. He activated fleet communications. All Harkesh vessels, disengage and withdraw. We have lost. The remaining ships fled to FTL. The battle was over. In the silence that followed, Taeyang slumped in his chair. Yoon moved to his side. Damage report from all ships. He requested, quietly. The numbers were grim. The Stalwart had 43 dead, over 100 wounded. The Indomitable had 12 dead, 37 wounded. The Prosperity had miraculously suffered only minor injuries. Too many, Taeyang said softly. Far too many. They died protecting others, Yoon said gently. That's what we do. Within hours, a transmission arrived from the Galactic Council. High Counselor Thren's image appeared on the main screen. Captain Taeyang. The Council has witnessed your battle. We were wrong to try to limit you. We were wrong to doubt your intentions. Humanity has proven what you truly are. Taeyang waited. This could go either way. We offer partnership. True partnership. As equals. Not subordinates. We will not demand you change. We ask only that you help us understand you. Admiral Lee's response came from Earth within the day. She appeared via holocom, her weathered face showing both relief and sorrow. High Counselor. Humanity accepts, but we have conditions. We will share technology, but not be forced to adopt yours. We will defend Council space if asked. But we are not your army, and any species that harms human civilians will answer to us. Agreed, Thren said without hesitation. The galaxy needs what you offer. Not conquest. Not domination. Protection. Months passed. Human ships began to integrate into galactic trade routes. Human technology started appearing in Council databases. Human culture mixed with alien traditions. But something else changed too. Other species began to question their own helplessness. If pirates raided, why surrender? If threats emerged, why rely on others for protection? Humanity's example planted seeds of self-reliance across the galaxy. 1 year after first contact, Captain Taeyang stood on the observation deck of the Indomitable. The ship had been repaired. Its scars healed. But the memory of those who died remained. Commander Yoon joined him, as she often did during quiet moments. Do you think they understand us now? She asked. Taeyang watched an alien freighter pass nearby, escorted by its own defensive ships. They're beginning to. They thought warship meant aggression. They're learning it means protection. The Harkesh requested a meeting. Yoon mentioned. War Chief Kor, personally. He wants to understand our combat philosophy. Good. Maybe he'll learn that strength isn't about domination. It's about protecting those who can't protect themselves. And if someone tests us again, Taeyang smiled slightly. Then we remind them why humanity survived when we should have died. Not because we were the strongest, but because we refused to be victims. Far below, on countless worlds, beings looked up at the stars with new eyes. Humanity had arrived. The galaxy had learned to breathe again, but differently now. With the knowledge that somewhere in the void, humans stood watch. Not as conquerors seeking power, not as victims accepting helplessness, but as guardians who understood that true peace came not from weakness, but from the strength to protect the innocent. The galaxy had forgotten what a warship truly was. One Terran vessel had reminded them. Not through domination, but through the simple, terrifying competence of a species that had survived the unsurvivable. And in learning to respect humanity, the galaxy learned to respect itself again. The age of passive acceptance was ending. The age of active protection was beginning. And humanity, with all its scars and strength, would stand at the center of it all. Not because they sought glory, but because someone had to care enough to fight for those who could not fight for themselves. That was what made them human. That was what made them guardians. That was what the galaxy needed. Even if it had not known it before, one Terran vessel appeared and reminded them all how to breathe.